We are rocking the Lady Gaga drip today. The Fame, best album. Fight me in the comments. I've been fortunate to not have too many stalker stories where that just means I'm ugly. No, seriously, you hear plenty of horror stories nowadays about Twitch streamers who are being stalked to the ends of the earth. It's almost like a rite of passage at this point. Huh. I guess that's when I'll know I've made it. During my sophomore year of high school, we had this incoming freshman on the volleyball team. We'll call him Sam. Samwise Gamgee, because he made me look like I could play as a center for the Lakers. Sam was, how do I say, a real asshole. I don't know if it was some overcompensation or insecurity. It's high school, you know? He was so freaking mean. Like, he was always trying to start something with people for seemingly no reason, or at least he was trying to start stuff with people he didn't perceive to be a part of the, like, popular guys or jock group, which I sure as hell wasn't a part of. Sam is not important to the story. Really, he's just the catalyst that kind of holds this bad plot together. The real antagonist of the story was his sister, Sam, Antha. How do I say this nicely? She looked like Sam if he wore a wig. I'm sorry, I know I'm laying into these two right now, but they were just so damn mean for no reason that I could comprehend, which makes it even more wild because she's the one who was stalking me. Anyways, this is how you know you're in for a ride. Initially, I had no idea Sam had a sister. It wasn't until I went to go see a play at our high school theater. So many memories of that place, both good and bad. I went to go see the show. I saw her and I thought, man, that looks a lot like, never mind. I just remember seeing her at the theater and her kind of like briefly introducing herself and me like, oh, how's it going? Not thinking anything of it. And then a few days later, I got a text from an unknown number. Now that in and of itself wasn't really that weird. Getting a text from a random number in high school was kind of par for the course. I think my friends and I were giving out each other's numbers faster than the teachers could give us detentions, which I never got, by the way. Her and I start texting, and fairly early on, I figure out it's her after playing 20 questions. So you're thinking, well, this is a very straightforward situation. If you're not interested in this person, then just don't engage with them. Oh, you poor child. The problem wasn't so much that I wasn't responding to her, it's that my phone would go off minute after minute after minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. Things started off cordially enough. She would message me and I would try to respond in an appropriate amount of time and try to keep a dry conversation going. There's really no point in going into detail about what our messages were because there was none. It was just a real big nothing burger. In fact, I think she just straight up texted me asking me out. And you know what? More power to her. I wish things were more straightforward like that. And I very politely responded saying I wasn't really interested. And I very quickly learned thereafter that that response was unacceptable. She asked me why. I see. So this is what you guys go through. It all makes sense now. I told her because I didn't see her as someone who I wanted to go out with romantically, thinking that's a reasonable response. And this is where the joy of our relationship truly began. She would text me every day, multiple times a day, the same 3-letter word, a word that began to take on new meaning. It reconditioned itself in my head like I was a subject of Pavlov's experiment. I started to think of it as a synonym to fear and suffering and pain. I would open my phone and I would read the word, hey. A few seconds later, I would get, hey, followed by, hey. I wasn't really like creeped out by any of this. I was mostly feeling bad for her and honestly really annoyed. And yes, I know, smartass in the comments. Alex, you idiot, why didn't you just block her, you technophobic numbskull? First off, why do you talk like that? And second, I need you to understand that I had just graduated from the Motorola Razr to the LG Xenon with a slide-out keyboard. The highest quality I could achieve on YouTube was 480p. These concepts were absolutely foreign to me. Okay, so technically the appropriate answer to your question would have been yes, but she just kept texting me on someone else's phone, so... You want me to tell you how I knew it was her? You want me to explain what the dead giveaway was? Hey, this was getting so tired. It was absolutely comical. I think there was one point I was having a sleepover at my friend's house. He grabs my phone and he's just swiping through the messages. It just says, hey, like 50 times. Like, you know the pattern of when your phone rings. Just imagine it's not ringing. It's just, hey, over and over again. All the while, I'm going to volleyball practice and there's her brother acting like his typical douchey self. I'm standing there listening to him talk shit, imagining this wig materializing over his head and thinking, if only you knew, little man. If only you knew. There'd be this brief stretch of time where life seemed to return to normal. And then, like Pavlov's dog, I would react to that vibration and I would see that 3-letter word. Hey, if you guys want to tell me your own interesting story at some point, or if you're just a big Gaga fan like I am, I stream live on Twitch. I would love to have you come through and hang out at some point. Or just leave your story in the comments. I'd love to read it, besides all the rude comments. This time, I had a plan. Something totally diabolical. Obviously, something no one had ever thought about before. I had my buddy from the wrestling team message her, pretending to be my girlfriend. I know. The wrestling detail wasn't important, by the way. I just thought it would make it seem more ironic because, you know, like wrestling is it's like macho. And he's my girlfriend. I will tell you that this ingenious strategy worked about as well as you'd imagine, which is to say not at all. He even sent her a picture of himself and she didn't even flinch. It was a scene girl off Google Images. My buddy messaged her saying that he was not comfortable with the way that she was talking to his man. And this woman has the audacity to tell him to go kick rocks. My fake girlfriend, the Google Images scene girl. Like, how do we win? I forgot to mention earlier that her classmates, my friend. So I went to an all-guys school. She went to an all-girls school. We were brother, sister schools. Basically, my friends in her class were saying that she kept asking about my whereabouts or what extracurriculars I did. If she had the slightest ability as a detective, she could have just asked her brother who I had to deal with every day. I wish I could say there was some big grand finale to this story that sealed the deal. Like Mr. Beast was going to jump out of a hallway and say, hey, you made it. You did it. Here's the money. Here's the briefcase. But like most other things, it just kind of fizzled out. Eventually she stopped texting me and I stopped playing volleyball, so I didn't see her brother all the time. Mainly because I wanted to focus on theater and because I sucked at volleyball. If you want to hear about some of the crazy adventures that theater led me down, then leave a comment. Maybe I can make a video talking about that. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll admit, Mayhem is a pretty good album too. Have a good night, buddy.